It started with a storm that rattled the old windows of her countryside home, the kind of storm that makes even grown adults feel a strange loneliness. I wasn't supposed to stay long, just tighten a couple of valves, check the wiring, and head out. But fate has a way of whispering at the edges of ordinary moments, turning them into chapters you never forget. Before I even stepped inside, something in her eyes, soft, tired, carrying the weight of 1,000 unspoken battles, told me this night wasn't going to be like any other. Before we go deeper, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and unexpected moments that change everything, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. It truly helps the channel grow. The house felt unusually quiet when I entered. She sat on the porch earlier, a glass of wine in her hand, wearing a deep maroon dress that made her look elegant yet vulnerable, like someone trying to hold herself together. She greeted me with a warm smile, the kind you give someone you trust but don't know how to lean on. Her brother, my best friend, was out of town for work. She lived alone now after their mother passed away last year, and I could see in her posture the silent exhaustion of grief that refuses to fade. Inside, the broken water heater was tucked away in the basement, and I tried distracting myself with the practical work of loosening bolts and adjusting pipes. But every few minutes, my thoughts drifted to the faint sound of her footsteps upstairs, the gentle clinking of her wine glass, the eerie stillness of the house. I had known her for years, but never like this. Not in her quiet, vulnerable state, not in this soft corner of life where people stop pretending to be strong. When I finished repairing the heater and shut my toolbox, I found her standing near the living room window, arms slightly wrapped around herself. The storm outside had become louder, wind pressing against the walls like a reminder of every fear that creeps out after midnight. She turned toward me with a fragile smile and said in a gentle voice, "Don't let me stay up alone tonight." Her words weren't flirtatious. They were human, raw, honest. Something inside me tightened because I understood immediately. This wasn't about company but comfort. She was exhausted from fighting life alone. I nodded, unsure of what I was stepping into, but knowing I couldn't walk away. We sat in the living room, the only light coming from a lamp that flickered occasionally as rain battered the roof. She spoke about her mother, how the emptiness of the house felt heavier ever since. She told me about the dreams she once had, simple dreams like running a small bakery or painting again. Dreams she put aside because life hadn't been kind. I listened, really listened, in a way I hadn't realized she needed. And as she talked, layers of distance between us quietly dissolved. Her strength amazed me. She wasn't someone who cried easily, but when her voice cracked while remembering her mother's laugh, I saw a single tear slip down her cheek. I moved a little closer, not touching her, just enough for her to know she wasn't alone. Sometimes presence is the most powerful form of kindness. Hours passed, the storm never letting up, but inside the room felt warmer. She thanked me for staying, saying she didn't want to burden anyone. I told her she wasn't a burden. No one who carries pain so quietly ever is. She smiled at that, a smile that carried both gratitude and disbelief, as if kindness was something she had forgotten how to accept. There was a moment, soft, fleeting, when our eyes met, and it felt like the world paused to breathe with us. Not romance, not impulse, just two people sharing the same fragile space of healing. I realized then how much she had been holding on her own shoulders, how much she wished someone would simply sit beside her and say, "You're allowed to feel tired." And I was grateful I could be that person, even for one night. The storm eventually softened to a drizzle, and the house felt less heavy. She leaned back on the couch, her breathing calmer now, her gaze more peaceful. She said it was the first time in months she didn't feel completely alone. And in that small confession, something in me shifted, a sense of purpose, of empathy, of wanting to be someone who doesn't turn away from another person's quiet suffering. Before the night ended, she thanked me again, this time with a sincerity that stayed with me long after I drove home. The porch light behind her framed her silhouette as she watched me leave, and I knew something between us had changed, not into romance, not into expectation, but into understanding. Sometimes the most meaningful connections aren't loud or dramatic. They're moments when two hearts simply feel safe around each other. If this story touched your heart even a little, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps more than you know.